Clap. Clap. I can probably add a ton of that.
Terrillian, acknowledging the inherent power of Kraith's creation, shifted her strategy once more. Obsessed and determined to obliterate everything born of Kraith, she focused on the remnants of the worlds she had already obliterated. Harnessing the power extracted for her by the monolith, she crafted the 4 formidable world eaters, colossal diamond-shaped vessels with dark steel holes and 2 expansive arches encircling like grasping arms, designed to envelop and devour worlds. In her frenzy, Terrillian infused her being with metal, distancing herself further from Kraith's design. Overwhelmed with manic glee, she abandoned her name for a new identity. Once the ships and their commanders, the Knightree generals, were ready, she dispatched them with orders to consume all that remained, creating armies when powerful enough to turn their destructive might against the world of Terrillian itself. Leading the charge was Zage with his new world eater, Cortaunton, followed by Toxia, commanding Terrafine, Chronocopi with Garabeth, and Nerite at the helm of Becadine. Bearing her name, they embarked on their celestial crusade, leaving only dust and echoes in their wake. Yet untouched by madness, they started to question their creator. As they neared Terrillian, they realized the mission offered no future for them, leaving them without fuel or resources to continue. In defiance of their deity, they chose to conquer rather than destroy Terrillian. Their anticipated swift victory, however, turned into a bloody, centuries-long war when they encountered Kaf and his brothers.
Welcome to the Terrillian Podcast. My name is Beard. I'm the resident nerd. To my left is Chris, our music producer.
Thanks, Beard.
Why?
It was in your face.
I don't care. And it
Fine.
wasn't. It
You
wasn't
can be
blocking
Mike
my face.
Wazowski.
Nowhere on this can it block my face.
Oh my gosh, here I
Not-
am just being a good friend.
Not sponsored by Metal Cup.
Dude, he was introducing me.
And then we have Ian.
That was
the
my
creator
my introduction is like now cut.
Okay, do it again.
from the top.
Sure.
Hey, I'm Beard, your resident nerd. Hi, welcome to the Terrillian Podcast. I am Beard, the resident nerd. To my left is Chris, the music producer.
Wow.
I hate you. We have Ian, the creator of this.
Hello.
You have Marina, the executive producer and the most mature person in the room.
That's me.
And then we have Dalton, the tech wizard. And
Or
editor,
tech wizard.
I like to,
producer and everything else.
Is there a cup in your face or no?
It's not in my face. I'm looking at the frame right now. Hi.
It kind of looks like it's in your face. It's in your face.
It's in your face.
Okay, now it's not.
Get it out of your face.
Chris, so you have the first question.
So, Ian.
Yeah.
I just want to say this is one of my favorite
This is an epic
stories.
chapter.
I love the reading. I love the imagery. It's amazing.
So,
Let's
Chris,
talk
you have
about it.
nothing to add on? Nothing to say?
So, Ian. This was a phenomenal reading to what they said. I agree. There was a lot that was exposed in this reading. Very fascinating stuff. First thing I want to talk about. I liked the ships. Talk a little bit about the ships because I feel like I've seen this image quite a bit. Why have I seen this image of ships with arms?
Well, the ships are actually our logo.
Oh, dude, yes.
Ta-da! Surprise. So I
Finally,
wanted,
after all this time, this
we can finally
is
say it.
little logo thing people may or may have not noticed.
That's funny. Yeah,
that's
what,
a
a
Terrillian
season and a
ship,
half,
yeah.
a season and a third? Yeah.
I can finally say it.
That's
So
kinda
I picked the design because I wanted something that was timeless yet functional for them. So, I mean, the night trees and all that come off of those ships, the way they look, as far as the way they feel, I wanted it to be very much so strong in the way that they're built. So one of the most universal shapes is obviously the triangle. So I just really just took that and just doubled it because in space there's really no gravity. But I wanted it to have that kind of a weight to it where you see that you're like, that is a very standalone image. I mean, you look at it and it does stand alone. It's like, that is its thing.
It's not something you see in nature.
It's not.
Yeah.
And then you have the arms of it. And the idea was when I first designed them is that they would basically circle around a ship or around a planet, I should say. And all 4 of them would be on either side of the planet. They would basically break the circle of the planet. You know how our planet revolves, right? So they'd go against that, breaking the planet, and the planet would basically start ripping itself apart. At that point, they would start taking all of that power out of the planet, ripping it apart and consuming it.
Jeez, what a visual, especially with this. How big is Terrillian again? We were saying it's like
Huge.
The size like bigger than Jupiter. Right?
Yeah.
So they are unable to take it out for that fact. It's so big that their ships can't actually stop it.
They could because they're designed to do it. It would not be like really quick and not necessarily the way that they had in the past because they're huge ships, like they're bigger than Earth. But it would
Can you
just,
imagine
it would
that
just be
size?
done.
I
different.
can't even. That's nuts.
yeah.
So I have a small picture when I first designed them, probably when I was like, I don't even know, 15, 14. And when I first designed them, they actually have like their own internal biosphere where the Knightrees actually live. So if you look at it, it's like you have these 2 flat discs which have their own gravitational force keeping, everybody on them. Right. You have like a self-made star in the center and they're on these plates that revolve.
Jeez.
So it's like they have everything to support
Is
life.
it kind of, sorry, I feel like I always make references.
Let's go. Let's go. Bring it on.
Let's go.
I'm ready.
Okay, so like the
man, I'm not
100
ready.
where it's like the tubey area around
Kind of that, yeah.
or like
actually.
Xenon.
No, we're not going to go there. Stop. Back
Is
that
it like
up.
Xeon?
Burn it.
Is it? Is it?
No.
Oh,
Girl
Not
of
at
the
all.
21st century.
I hate that so much.
I'm trying to relate to it.
If you relate
I
using
always-
Xenon, I'm impressed.
I remember when you first described it to me, the
feelings.
2 things that popped into my mind for reference was shoot, why am I forgetting their names? It's from Titan AE.
Oh, dude.
Oh, yeah.
I
The
love
Dredge.
that movie.
The
The
Dredge's
Dredge.
home ship. The diamond
yeah.
blue
Oh.
thing. Except not blue, it's like a dark steel color. And
They were
then-
like energy pure blue.
dude, that
dudes right
talk
there.
about an underrated movie.
love that movie.
What is this?
Never heard
It
of
is
it.
a sci-fi
Titan
movie.
AE.
It's
I'm sure Matt
animated like
Damon-
Atlantis. It came out
Okay.
roughly the same time,
Matt
a few years
Matt
before.
Damon,
Matt
Drew Barrymore, I
Damon.
bet.
Yep.
But I think it was Drew Barrymore.
Are you wait? Are you serious? Matt Damon and Drew Barrymore.
Damon.
Yeah, he played Kale.
Yeah, Drew Barrymore.
Yeah. It's a great. You should.
I
if she
had
hasn't seen it, you
no
should make her
idea
watch
the
it.
The
cast.
music is
Yeah,
really
it's been
good
so
too.
long.
I
Music
have
was
it.
good.
I have it, by the way.
But the
So if you
other
guys
thing,
wanna
the other thing that came
watch
into my
it, so
mind
good.
when you were describing how it's like
Shout
its own
out.
habitat and how big it is was, and this is something that's no one's gonna get, but there was a TV show called Andromeda
I get it.
Hey,
created by Gene Roddenberry, but
Yeah.
they made it after he died. And there are a race within that called the Magog that they actually capture worlds and connect them all together, and that's their mothership. It's a super cool concept, but like those 2 things are what I think of when you first described the World Eaters to me. So
That makes sense.
Yeah, these things are massive.
you know
that-
what Gene Roddenberry also did?
a lot of things.
Star Trek.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
I thought you were actually
that's-
going to say something that I wasn't aware of.
No,
I'm like, oh,
no,
yeah.
that's Gene Roddenberry. Yeah. So, my father-in-law would be so proud right now.
Yes. yes, he would. He is.
Huge.
He is.
Huge Trekkie. But huge.
Make sure, Brent, you like and subscribe.
Yeah. Hey.
Terrillian 10. Oh, wait.
Chris, can you just tie your shoe?
Okay, actually,
I
though,
wouldn't have to if it wasn't for unknown forces.
Dalton's in-laws are very big fans of Riker Earth.
Yeah.
I do like it.
Yeah.
We should give them a shout out.
Are we
in the
extending the is Riker Earth extending the
Riker
code
Earth
Terrillian 10
technically-
for this episode?
So, well, technically, it's not sponsoring this episode, but
We can always shout them out.
the Terrillian
Maybe
10
sponsor us next time.
code that we mentioned
Hey.
last episode is still in effect.
Oh,
Can still be
okay.
used.
Well, there you go. Use code Terrillian10 for 10% off RikerEarth.com for all of your dried fruit needs.
We actually have like one of their little
Simmer pots?
going. We're keeping it in the studio.
Smells
It
so good.
makes it smell like nice and
Christmas.
wintry and fall. And like at this point, it's basically sponsored by
like
Riker.
like an aroma.
Yeah.
For the smelling impaired, what
Oh,
does
she
it
just
smell like?
opened that. It smells like warmth.
yes.
Aw.
For
Yeah.
those of you who don't
Like-
know, beard
like a
cannot
hearth.
smell.
Why you got it out?
Have you ever been able to smell?
Like
Yeah.
Like a hearth.
Okay.
It's been like 10
cinnamon,
years.
clovey. Think
Cinnamon,
like
yeah.
Thanksgiving.
Christmassy, Thanksgiving-y smells.
That's okay.
Yeah.
I like that smell.
Yeah.
So the diamond ships.
Oh yeah, diamond ships. Yep.
Diamond ships, bro. So why the logo of the diamond out of all the stuff we've talked about though? You've already
Yeah.
mentioned how the logo is like it's supposed to represent something that's super lasting. Do these ships last a long time?
Well, and without outside interference, they would have probably lasted indefinitely if they could keep consuming.
Oh.
They're
Yeah.
kinda like
Also, if you're in the
Galactus
zero G
So
of space, like
okay.
it's not gonna. You're not going to
Is
degrade.
within this world, is space finite?
As far as like, is it like the infinite vastness?
I don't
of
know if
space?
that's too like.
Is it the expanding universe that
I feel
we're
like
currently
it
in?
has to be finite for Terrillian to have consumed everything.
Yeah. So there has to be a limitation.
Is there?
No, there's no other galaxies, Dalton.
No.
Okay.
Is there a thing that created Kraith?
No, Kraith always was.
So Kraith is God.
Always.
Yeah, he's
was.
the god being of the planet. So there's not
Two
like
words.
it's not like the god created another lesser god and then so on. It's more like he's, as far as like the narrative of the story goes, it's you have Kraith and then you have Terrillian and then you have everything else that follows.
Interesting.
So
Okay.
another big bomb that we just like blew off with this episode. Forboth.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Which is
Forboth.
hilarious because the name accidentally got edited out of the reading. So
Yeah.
yes, Forboth is the
Forboth.
name that's on the
Did
list.
the name get edited
Yeah.
out of the? Was it in the original?
Wait.
Yeah, it got edited out somehow. When you were reading through it again, I was just like,
yeah.
oh wait, yeah, it's gone. But
Set
yeah,
forth with her name upon their lips.
But we're talking
So
about
yeah,
this,
that
aren't
new name.
Yeah.
Ian, do you wanna say it?
Yep, it's Forboth.
And you want to say it's Forboth?
For those of you who don't know from the past couple seconds, it's Forboth.
we? This is a really exciting
I
thing.
actually
Yeah,
okay.
it's a
I do
big-
want to talk a little bit about that transformation. So like season 1 is like the introduction of Terrillian, and she is like described as being perfect. Actually, Dalton, I will have you read this reading.
What?
A little
Use your
excerpt
reading verse.
Oh, okay.
of season 1.
Enunciate.
Yeah,
So
so
we
we
can
see in
see-
season 1,
clearly.
Terrillian, she started as this perfect, like the perfect being. So in season 1, it said she was to be his wife, his queen and goddess to those who would later come. She was created and held aloft for all to see and aspire after. No ordinary world would he make for his extraordinary bride. He wove together a world within a world within a world, rich in beauty and bewitchingly flawless. Kraith then filled his creation with beautiful plants, animals, and natural inhabitants.
Like the imagery of
Beautiful.
that to this, like maniacally shedding skin, like
I think the only thing to me that stands out there is that bewitchingly flawless.
yeah.
Like that's
That one's
gotta
good.
come with some sort of side effect, you know?
Yeah, I mean,
did.
it comes with
Turns out it
vanity.
did, yeah.
It came with vanity is what it did. It came with
Yeah.
like a level of I'm perfect and nothing is more perfect than me. But then you see Kraith,
Yeah.
and suddenly her definition of perfect is now less perfect.
Well, that's the thing too with Kraith is that he created things not for the sake of. I would say that even Terrillian was not created perfectly. Now she thought she was until she's like, "Oh, I want what you have," and now I want to shed everything. But like, he never created anything perfect.
Do you
He
think it was
made
more like perfect in appearance and not in like actuality? Is that the word?
That's a hard question.
Well,
Like-
Actuality, yeah.
so like when he created the natural inhabitants, that means that there's going to be variation.
You could say that she was made perfectly for him in that respect.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Like
So-
she was
But was
designed
she,
in that
though?
direction.
But she had the ability to choose.
Yeah, well, yeah.
she had that
And anything
freedom.
that has the ability to choose has the ability to not be perfect.
Well, it has the ability to choose
Did not.
incorrectly.
Yeah.
Correct, yeah.
Yeah.
Death.
Assuming there's an absolute truth when it comes to,
And
Like
choice,
Kraith's
yeah,
will.
yeah, and Kraith's was,
yeah.
but
Interesting.
he chose things to have the ability to end.
Which
So
is a super interesting.
this makes me think because we're talking about he creates this perfect Terrillian planet
Person.
person. She sheds it, becomes Forboth. She creates her own identity. How do we come up with the name Forboth?
Infuses herself with metal.
Yeah.
Separate herself more from flesh.
So like
It's getting deeper.
Fundamentally, she's separating herself from everything. She's trying to become her own thing. She was made by someone. So for a creation to be made by something and then it wants to become its own thing, it will want
She's
to
separating.
recreate itself.
She's separated.
So she's
Yeah.
separated. She restructured her like body. She separated like from her skin. She created metal, which is in her opinion better. But she's still left with this insatiable hunger and a need to feed.
Is that tied into the ships?
Yeah.
Ships being made of that.
Oh.
Well, it ties into all three.
Right, and
so
the
the first
logo.
the first attack against Terrillian was made with flesh and blood. So you had Demeus and the seed of Demeus, which is flesh and bone.
Her still operating off of what she knew.
And
What
it
she knew.
failed.
And
that
it
plan-
failed.
And it failed.
So she operated off that. And she's like, okay, so I can't draw power with one thing taking all that power and one thing defending it. So then she ups it. She goes into making the monolith, which is many things that all suck power, and they're made of a stronger material, stone. So they come down and they do their thing. This is her, I guess you could say, what's the word I'm looking for? Like her masterpiece coming down now. So she basically ups it once again, makes sentient beings, like we talk about in the previous episode. We talk about how if they had cognitive function, her original plan, they probably would have won because they would have been able to organize and structure and actually commit, like actually do war against everybody. But because they didn't have that ability, nothing came of it. So essentially, when she made the Knighttrees, she made the world-eating ships.
Her second, like her what was the word I used last episode? Contingency. So her contingency plan was imperfect.
Yeah.
It wasn't like having that contingency plan was a really, really good idea, and it was really, really close to doing
what it was supposed to.
what it was supposed to. But because she made them this sort of hive-minded, like, or did she intentionally do that, or was that just the effect of the
That was kind of
monolith?
the byproduct of the monolith.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's how I like this. It's kind of like a dip. Oh, sorry.
Oh, you're
So she starts with flesh and blood, that's intelligent.
Yeah.
Then she goes to dumb rock.
With lots of men in power.
Yeah,
Or
and then she
Oh, that's
goes.
interesting.
Yeah, well, then she goes to lessen numbers, made of metal, but is intelligent. So it's got
And
this,
much
like,
stronger.
and much stronger. So it's like this.
Still progression.
Yeah.
Like it's this opposite
Interesting.
progressions in both ways,
Yeah,
and it's
yeah.
fascinating.
So she
That is
finally
really fascinating.
progresses into this state where she brings in, the Knighttrees, and she makes these ships. So when she starts building the ships, she's putting a lot of her power into that, right? So she makes the ships that would go out and basically whatever was left of anything out there, those ships would consume, right? And in doing that, they would actually create. So they were the cradle of the Knightree. So the Knightree were self-sufficient and enough to feed just like she does and create more of their own, the drones, to attack. That's
Wait.
what they talk about, her building up strength.
But in
Or
this
them.
reading though, we talk about the progression. She's going through these stages. She builds this ultimate third round masterpiece. But they go against her, don't they?
Well, they take after her.
Right? But isn't it in the reading by the time they've attacked the planet that they just want to take over the planet? They don't want to just
Destroy.
destroy it. They're making
So they're
Yeah.
going in a
choice.
different route.
So it's like we see, like Kraith created her, she betrayed him. She created these guys, they betrayed her.
Yeah.
Did she intentionally give them free will?
She gave them, in a sense, she has given them free will in the way that they're function, but they have kind of like their mother's nature to them. So they have the ability to think, function, adapt. And in their situation, they adapted to what served them best because they took after her in that selfish nature.
Interesting.
I like it.
It's like
So
we've come full circle.
yeah.
Full
Yeah.
circle. So they took after her and they did exactly what she didn't want them to do. And they basically,
Which is exactly what she did to.
But why
Kraith.
did she allow it?
because
doesn't
she was
she
still
have-
getting a cash return at the time.
Oh,
But the ships were still functioning. They were still funneling back that power to her.
What do you mean ships were still functioning? How's that?
So
What were the
everything is
Knighttrees
being,
doing?
they're killing off all the Darthmar and the
Oh,
civilians.
so in the beginning, she was like cool with it.
in the beginning, it was one way, but she's still getting power back.
Yeah.
Which
It's
is
just
her
when things
ultimate
go
goal.
south, which we talk about next episode,
Next chapter, we actually talk about
how she gets.
how. Well, we kind of do a little bit in this chapter, but
Yeah, I just don't want. I don't know if I should go too far into that without running too much.
Oh, you're good.
So,
So the
right now, she doesn't like how they're going about it, but she's accepting it because she's getting basically the power that she wanted.
she's still
anyway.
reaping rewards from
Yeah.
it.
So she's like, you know what? Let them do their thing. They're doing it. I'm getting power.
But she wasn't happy about it.
It wasn't her plan, but she can't really stop them now. They're already on the planet.
Is she stronger than the ships and the generals at this point when they
She's
first
invested heavily into both of them. So at this point, you could say she is strong still, but not as strong as when she first made them. Because she's invested into that.
Oh,
So
so
they're not-
she has put a lot of her own.
Strength and power into these vessels to make them. They are the cradle of the Knightree. She
Okay,
tried to
that
make
makes
something
sense.
self-efficient enough to where she wasn't constantly being drained by their manufacturing.
but,
But
it's
in
still
doing so, she drained herself.
As just like she did with the first two.
but there's still this concept of like selfishness She's doing all this for herself.
Yeah.
To get all this power for herself.
Well,
she creates these ships and generals, and they're doing everything for themselves, right? Like, then they do this separation again.
Well, it
We're
starts
seeing
in
common themes.
small phases. Like it's kind of like tearing a paper. You start and there's just a small separation between the two pieces, and as you pull, the separation gets greater. So this is the first step for them as far as breaking the rules and going against what Terrillian really initially wanted.
No, it's
So it's like
it's
they're-
fascinating stuff.
It's like with children. Like they're pushing their
They push their
boundary
limits
to see what they
slower.
can get away with.
Yeah, and that's kind of what they did. And she can't really correct them at this point because they're already there. They're outside of her range.
But I like how
I'm sure she
we're,
could do something, but it would be more detrimental to her at this point.
but there's still the same theme, same concept. She betrays at
Yeah.
the beginning. She separates at the. They're separating now,
And doing
right?
the exact
it's
same
a
thing.
constant. Yeah.
Like she's basically
Full
getting
circle.
firsthand what happened to Kraith.
Interesting.
and with that, we'll draw to a close.
No.
But yeah, so that's how that
Interesting.
all functioned.
Man. So what happens next with these massive ships? They're going there. They're not destroying the planet per se, but they're gathering. They are destroying the planet. They're just not.
They're not destroying the planet itself. They're destroying the natural
Do
inhabitants.
do the Knightree forces have to take people up to the ships?
So they never get that close.
Okay.
So at this point, Knighttrees have not developed any kind of flight ability other than, that one scene with
Oh.
Calf jumping up and hitting out that ship.
But
Or
that was
hitting
just
out
like explosive
rock.
power, like
Yeah.
muscular
Wait,
power.
wait, is the ship still in the sky when they get to the planet?
We'll get into that after
Wait.
these messages.
Wait, how does this chapter end?
Terrillian 10.
Untouched by madness, they started to question their creators. They neared Terrillian. They realized their mission offered no future for them. In defiance of their deity, they chose to conquer rather than destroy Terrillian.
Conquer, not destroy.
Their
Conquer.
anticipated swift victory, however, turned into a bloody centuries-long war where they encountered Cap and his brothers.
Oh, okay. Sorry,
So-
my mind is running together with the next chapter.
Wait.
already. My bad.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of blurring in
How
my head
did
too.
they
So
get
we're-
onto the planet?
They landed. They had the Knightree have the ability to land ships. They have ships. They're not just like falling.
But
off
they
of
can't
it.
get back up?
No, they have ships that could probably take them back up. Sure, but the idea wasn't
I
for them
think
to
he
go back
confused
up.
the Darth
But the
Maul Knightree
diamond
earlier.
ships stay in
Did I
space.
say that?
Yeah.
Did I say Knightree?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Sorry.
the Darthmar didn't have the ability to fly.
fly.
yet.
And that's what I was
Gotcha.
asking. Like, do the Knighttrees take what? Do they capture people and take them up to the ship? too?
No, it's doing the same kind of feeding process. that
Okay,
it
so
was.
they just have to kill.
they just
and
have to
then that
kill.
works.
So
So,
they're just
okay.
functioning off that,
Let's
which is really sad because
Interesting.
that means there's no quarter, like no quarter given.
So they kill. It gets funneled to the ships
And sent to the
When
Down
you
sent
say when you say no quarter given, what do you mean by that?
It means that they would kill everything, every sentient thing that lived.
if
would
they
just kill.
did exactly what
Can we talk
They're
a little
told
bit
Forboth
about these
wanted.
generals? I feel like
Interesting.
we're kind of brushing over it. Like there's 4 of them.
Yeah.
They have 4 ships.
Yep.
Why
Do you
for?
want to give like a little description of them? A little
Like how
anything?
they go about it.
Yeah, let's
So-
start. Let's start with who's the
'cause we
first one.
kinda
Zage,
just
right?
jumped into this characters and like
So Zage being, I would say, the more, what would you say, like withdrawn from the rest as far as like his style. He doesn't just go out. And
Isn't
just
he
So
more
really-
they,
strategic?
so they each
More
have like
strategic in a
individual
sense.
styles. They're not like cookie cutter.
they're not all following the same routine. They're all
Interesting.
figuring out how to go about killing most effectively.
I would say Zage is the master tactician who will not spend more than what he has to achieve his goal.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
So
he-
he's the chess player.
He's
He's the chess
resourceful.
player.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he lands and he starts clearing out
Chess
a
Master
sloth
2000.
for his initial campaign. And
Yeah.
he doesn't really move from that. He just kind of maintains it.
He's
So-
good. You just can't hear him. Your headphones suck.
Yeah, your headphones.
Oh,
suck,
he's
bro.
like this.
Nah.
Just talk
So-
into the mic.
Then you have Zage who lands first. He basically secures his position, and immediately what he does is he starts assessing and figuring out how everything works.
Okay.
So when he has his first encounter with Darth Mars, he starts figuring out how they work. He starts figuring out all these small things that help him figure out how to basically take them out. Then you have Chronocopy who would follow. Chronocopy comes in. His style is very much so just like, we're going to go in, we're going to butcher. Like
Berserker.
we're
Like
berserkers.
just-
We're gonna line up and just march over everything, crushing house, building.
Yeah,
Doesn't
he's
matter.
like he's like a tidal wave.
so
He'll
he's
just
like a blitzkrieg type,
kind of
just
roll
go
over you
in
with
and
his heavy force because his units are big.
very big.
powerful,
Yeah.
big.
Yeah, he has.
Interesting.
There's one we talk about, juggernauts, and they basically have these huge tower shields, and they'll just literally with big spears just walk through buildings and just crush everything underneath them.
Oh my gosh.
Like they're basically a moving fortress.
Massive lawnmower.
Yeah, holy cow.
Essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're
Size
just
wise,
on
like what are
steroids.
they in comparison to the
Like
Darkmar?
compared
That's
to
a
the
good question,
Roman
yeah.
Empire kind of
so
comparison.
Calf is
Oh my
obviously the
gosh.
biggest of them all. Calf is huge.
Empire State Building.
Yeah, Empire State Building. He's massive. So the drones are probably
Calf
not,
is Darthmar though. We're talking
Yes.
Knightree. Like how big are the Knightree?
Like what is the comparison between Calf and Knightree?
Knighttrees are
Height-wise.
decent size. I would say if you have Empire State Building, what would you call the Knighttrees comparatively? Chronocopy is obviously the biggest one they got.
Sears Tower.
Just like shorter, taller, same.
A lot shorter because you interact
yeah.
with these guys.
Yeah.
Oh.
They're like
So your
Chronocopy-
character in the game will interact with them.
Well, he will, yeah. So their way of tearing down the Darthmar is not necessarily by might is one thing, but it's also by numbers. They are
Okay.
just totally going after them, and they're figuring out how they gain power to kind of use that against them.
Yeah.
So they come after Calf. Well, Zage does, but sorry, spoiler.
What? I don't know.
Wait, Zage comes after Calf.
Yeah, but we'll talk about that later
Oh.
on.
So he
to a
takes
close, bro.
on the big boy.
He does his thing, and he does it well. Then you have like
next episode.
Sorry,
Yeah,
let's
that's
go
next
back. I
episode.
totally
like and
derailed you.
subscribe.
I'm sorry.
Like and subscribe
yeah,
for the
like
next
and
episode. That
subscribe.
sounds like
Yeah,
it's going to be a
whoops.
really good.
My bad.
Toxia.
topic.
What is Toxia's?
Style.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Next
He's
one, yeah.
more like
Sorry.
he'd put the whole world into a nuclear holocaust if he could. Just
Jeez.
killing. Yeah, he would kill everybody. And
Pretty dark.
Wouldn't matter to him that everything, vegetation, life could not be sustained. He would just murder for the sake of it.
Doesn't he have the? You've drawn him, haven't you? Where
Oh,
he's
yeah.
got the really cool mask thing, and it's got the.
That makes
Go
me
into
think of
some
like
detail, man.
That makes me think of like not necessarily the Joker,
He
But,
pulls.
like-
he pulls. Yeah.
like some sort of just psychopathic extermination level.
For him, like I guess you could say the Knighttrees all have their primary function, like where it's like we need to one sustain our own, but two we need to kill a bunch of people. And then you have Toxia who's like, I'm just going to kill because I enjoy it.
Interesting.
So he would, if he's bored, he won't kill. He'll just chill there and watch people die, and he's chill with that. He's good with it. But if he has an option and he's like, you know what, I'm bored. I'm going to just pick up my sword, just jump into the middle of a huge battle, and just start slicing up.
Yeah.
He'll do that. Like he doesn't necessarily give orders as much as he's like, let's just kill a bunch of people. Let's just do it. Send my guys out there. Just kill everybody. He doesn't care. He doesn't function on like, like, oh, this is a prime target. He's like, no.
Is that?
So they work. So
Wipe out a
you
village.
specified Zage's battle tactics. What would Toxia's be?
His are more
Like what is
Chaotic.
he use as far as like shields? And stuff like
Sporadic.
that?
He
Sporadic.
would like an example. He would airdrop troops behind enemy lines, and their order would be just cause as much disruption as you can.
Oh geez.
That kind of
no strategy, just
yeah.
So one of the
Drop.
drones he has is this one that has these bipedal or like these bent legs, and it runs really, really quickly, but it releases toxic fumes as it does it, and it would run behind enemy lines.
Ergo Toxia.
Yeah, it would run behind enemy lines and then just
dope.
self-destruct,
'Cause he's
releasing a
toxic.
huge amount of toxic fume around it within
Jeez.
I don't even know how many feet, but just a decent amount to just kill as many people as it could, and then another would do the same thing.
Yeah, I
Like
was
he-
about to say, are we talking like tear gas? Or are we talking like
We're talking just like you breathe it in, you're good in like 5 seconds, you're done.
it's supposed to
jeez.
kill all life on the
Yeah,
planet.
it's like it doesn't matter. It's like something that would just stain the ground,
So
kind of
it's
like
not
radiation.
just a stun. It's like a
Kill.
Mirror
you,
there.
like you gone?
And then he basically, as he progresses, because everybody's, they all have that cognitive function where they do progress in the way they do things, kind of like Terrillian does, or Forboth now. The way Forboth does is how she progresses in the way she attacks, they do the same thing. So eventually he starts making more efficient ways to kill people.
so they're robots. Yes.
So they are organic metal.
But they can think for themselves.
They can think for themselves.
So would you say they're
Do you
AI?
have you?
They are living metal, is what they are.
Did
living
Ian
metal? Best
they
word.
create
are-
AI 15 years ago?
I think AI was before I created it.
So kind of like
that was long before
You
me.
created
my brain
AI,
goes
bro.
to the MCU
did,
just because
bro.
that's what I know. Like how Ultron was a robot, but Vision was
Human.
a biological mass that was then animated by a
Powerful core.
right.
Yeah.
Not a body
That's-
with a
that-
spirit, but a spirit with a body.
What?
Thank you, Chris.
There you go, bud. So that's the function of
Kind
it.
of.
It's a lot like Vision's design. I mean, he doesn't. They don't have the ability to like go like invisible.
Oh,
or reach
okay,
through fence and
okay.
stuff like
not
that.
all, a
But
lot
like
of that
we've
stuff.
all accepted Vision as a robot, but
He's
But he's
more-
not a
people's.
robot.
He's more fine tuned.
He's not a robot. Like he
But
is
like
a.
he kind of is.
He's
He
not
is,
a
Okay,
robot.
he's a people's, but
But
metal.
you know, it comes down to what constitutes a robot.
But he's not metal.
Yeah,
in
no,
my
I
head,
think
tissue.
that is the easiest way
Is
to
robot.
think about
What?
it. It's just like
He's
a human
tissue.
being that just happens to be made of metal.
I thought he was
That
metal.
is
Yeah.
right there. That's it.
Living
That's
metal.
the most efficient
probably
way.
know.
Living metal.
like a what?
It is just think of them as being a human being just made entirely of metal.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah,
A
so
metal
that's
human
gonna be
being.
the most functional way to put it.
So she had the ability, like Dr. Frankenstein, to
Yeah.
put something together and animate it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's kind of
Is Ian
that's kind of a
Mary
crazy
Shelley?
level of power that
Mary
I don't think
Shelley?
I
Who's that?
The
put
writer
together.
of Frankenstein.
Oh, whoops.
Wait,
Forgot.
am I right? Mary Shelley wrote Frankenstein.
Google.
Yes.
Something.
Yes.
We have computers. We
Yeah,
have
I don't think
We
I.
have
It wasn't Joe
technology.
Abercrombie.
I was going to say, can we linger on that for a second? I don't think I put together the fact that she had the ability to create. Like it
Yeah,
makes
she
sense,
had a lot of
but
rage.
she had the power that she could create life, animate it, and give it essentially free will.
Because she got power from the second round attack, right?
Yeah.
So it was. So it is
So-
Kraith's power in
monolith-
her
Yeah. The monolith
Yeah.
did its job.
doing. Dude, that's
It gave her enough power
wild.
to create the Knightree, who are arguably way more stronger.
It's like also kind of crazy that like after all of that, like everything she's attempted, changing her name,
Yeah.
like literally changing her body, like making herself metal,
Separating
she
herself.
is still relying on Kraith for everything.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
It's
But
still
she
all
can't get
tied
away
I
with
up.
wonder
it
how
ever.
infuriating that is.
Probably.
That's probably why she goes mad,
Yeah.
right?
Like she literally has lost everything about her original purpose,
Wait.
and now she's just striving to function.
Have we talked about each of them yet? We've talked about Zage.
Well, we talked
We
about
talked about
uh,
Zage. We talked about
Nerite.
Toxia. Yeah,
and then we
Nerite.
referenced Chronocopy a wee bit. So
Talk
Nerite,
about Nerite. Yeah.
Nerite gets into the genetic side of everything. So he
Okay.
starts basically
A
finding a way to
foreshadowing.
foreshadowing. Yeah, sure.
Shadowing 4.
What are we foreshadowing?
We're foreshadowing things.
We're shadowing
There's just
for-
shadow for the future.
Does he have a
you
laboratory?
He does.
Wait, really?
Yeah. So before they
destroys it?
even
Who
before they
destroys
even
it?
hit Terrillian, Nerite has been making, I guess you could say, abominations. There's a whole quest behind it. Nerite's abominations. So he's making, amongst his own troops, he's making essentially monsters. It allows me as someone who likes
So
to
you already
create,
have like quests and stuff.
Oh,
written
yeah,
out
there's
and
a
all
lot.
that.
but
It's about to get real good.
Yeah, it gets good. It gets really fun. But he creates all these monsters that he essentially just lets them go. He just lets them run amok among Terrillian because in his mind, if they die, great. Doesn't
They're
matter.
not strategic monsters. They're just chaotic.
And then he has his individual guard.
the only level of strategy for him when fighting the Darth Maul is he creates these monsters and he's like, hey, I need you to kill that general or this general or that Darth Maul. or
Oh,
that
so okay, he's
Phaleesi."
got a target.
So he's just like, he points them and be like, go destroy that, and then they go and do
Does he
it.
create them specifically for that purpose?
Think of, actually, since we were talking about this earlier, think of Hunger Games.
Yep, I was just
Yeah.
thinking the same
Think
thing.
of,
The game
what
maker.
were
That's
the-
when we watched that the other night.
Yeah.
I was freaking out because that is exactly how they function.
Yeah, in the last book, the monsters in the sewers that say Katniss's name,
Oh yeah.
Oh.
That's what you
kind
just
of
watched.
like that.
So
That's the type of stuff that he does.
he
Because they're targeting
creates
her.
because he can't
Yeah.
stop himself from creating. He is obsessed with it.
So
Yeah.
in the Hunger Games,
So
the-
he's like
the
Dr.
game
Frankenstein.
maker,
he more leans on
Kind
the
of, yeah.
heavy-
He's
Yes.
like a game maker.
Dr. Gall.
Interesting.
Dr. Gall. Yeah. So he definitely leans like he creates not because he has necessarily almost a purpose for everything, but because he can't stop himself. It's kind of like me when it comes to drawing. Like I just want to keep creating more things. So he kind of fixes that for me because then I can create
There's
a
an
bunch of
interesting
unique
parallel.
monsters. You know,
Do you
There's a lot of parallels.
do you
There are a
relate
lot.
to
Parallels.
I would say they're both like all
Any
the
of these
Knighttrees
characters?
are kind of caricatures of myself in a way. They're more extreme, obviously, but like they're
Yeah.
just like different parts that I've
you've
funneled.
found in yourself?
Yeah.
To,
So what about
Interesting.
Chronocopy? You said
The egotistical,
Chronocopy-
narcissistic
if you had a favorite, what
Yeah, who would your favorite be?
Toxia. I like Chronocopy.
really?
I really do love Chronocopy, but
I've just heard a lot about Chronocopy.
well, that's because he's
That's
been
like-
kind of on the forefront of my mind
He's
for
I was
a
gonna
while.
say he's also your Smash Bros character name.
Yeah, it's funny considering like I use his name for everything, but
That's so funny.
yeah,
so
no,
what
Toxia
about
is
what
more
about
fun.
what about Chronocopy though?
Like
Yeah, what
the
does
way
he
he
do?
works.
Yeah.
What's
So
his
his
tactics?
he thinks that he's one just the best thing since anything that ever existed. So he has.
Do they have sliced bread on Terrillian?
If they did, he made it. Like he's that guy.
Oh wow.
Yeah. If they did, he was the one who invented it, or at least he'll say he is.
Savage. That's, wow.
A general and a bread maker.
He is the baker.
Multi-talented.
That was an interesting distinction you made there.
Yeah.
If he didn't, he would say he did.
He's extremely egotistical. So his function, he doesn't. So each Knightree lord that comes down has kind of a aristocracy that comes along with them as a kind of advisement.
Can you define
leaders.
aristocracy?
Yeah.
Kind of like imagine you have a general, and then you have captains, sergeants, whatever. He has those. Which
He has a little group.
You have the
Like a
Darth
chain of
Mar, you
command.
have the Darth Ma, you have the Knightree, you have the aristocracy under them. And then as things progress through the story, the aristocracy just kind of become more of a kind of like a council more than anything. But the way he does it, he actually starts slowly consuming them mentally. So he has.
What do you mean?
Basically, he starts.
Huh?
Yeah, he starts basically downloading them into himself as far as their knowledge on things because he doesn't
Dharma?
trust them. No.
His
Chronocopy.
his officers.
Oh,
His
okay.
troops.
I was
So-
very
How did-
confused.
How did he figure out he could do that?
He's creative.
He's a robot.
Because he makes a copy of.
So he's incredibly intelligent.
He is. Yeah. Like if you take out the schizophrenia, then yeah, he's a great guy.
I mean, you can be
Oh,
schizophrenic
fun.
and be intelligent.
Which the
Yeah.
schizophrenia developed because he started pulling in all of his officers to himself because he's such a egomaniac. He's like, I can't
Trust you.
trust you. I'm not going to share with you.
So he like broke his brain trying to be like micromanaging, if you will.
Yeah.
These are
Yeah.
all villains, yes?
Yes.
These are wonderful villains.
Thank you.
Yeah. Holy
welcome.
cow.
So he gets to the point where he starts basically forcibly downloading all of his generals or his sergeants, captains, whatever you want to call it, into himself.
No, it is cool to see, like, I don't know, I feel like you don't often see, like, 4 villains that are, like, all very distinct and fully thought out. Our guest reader, Gavin, who has been reading a lot of the stories for this season, compared them to Transformers, like, they're living metal.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
However, Transformers, I guess, aren't villains? All of them?
Well,
No,
the
they're
Decepticons.
It's
are
been a
Decepticons.
minute.
They're just
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Autobots
Yeah.
are the good guys.
Ah, yes.
And it's funny because you and I were talking earlier about a game that you're currently playing and how they introduce a villain early on in that. And you're like, wow, that was really lackluster. Does it get any better? I'm like, no, it doesn't.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate that your characters all stand out from each
individualistic.
other. Yeah.
Interesting.
In design and character.
Well,
so.
it was one of those things that like I was telling you, I watched a lot of mystery movies growing up, and I love mystery movies. And one of the things that I love about it is you don't know who the villain is, you just see his
We were
handiwork.
Shimmy.
talking about these generals, and each one of them have
Shut up.
Oh my
What would the
they
differences
have their
be?
individualistic characteristics.
We say they're individualistic and everything. I
Characteristics.
can't help but see a lot of similarities between Zage and Chronocopy.
Yeah, I would see more similarities between Zage and Narite, but go on. Where are the similarities that you see?
Just the strength and numbers and driven, and the difference is obviously Chronocopy, the schizophrenic, the controlling other thing, but his tactics, like you
Well,
said, is
that's-
just going in and overwhelming with force.
Whereas Zage is tactic. I think I said this earlier. He's not going to spend a single penny more than he needs.
Oh, you did say that.
He's
That's
a penny
right, yeah.
pincher.
So he's
Okay.
very precise in what he does. Whereas Chronocopy is just like, I'm the best. I'll
Reckless,
just roll over
yeah.
you.
Okay.
Whereas Zage is just like, I will do the bare minimum of what I need to achieve my goal.
Like there's a picture I halfway.
So
drew.
Zage would be a
He's
more
the
wise.
personification of work smarter, not harder.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I would
That
say
makes sense.
Zage is the quiet one of the group, but he's definitely more fine tuned than the rest. So he has his level of obsession
'Cause he's
with geneticism, just like
He's the
Narite
type
does.
of guy
Leader,
that you could
right?
actually relate to and admire.
He's the leader.
They're
Correct.
equal-ish.
They're all equal in their title in a way. They all have
Okay.
their strengths.
Do they each think they're the leader?
Yes.
Yeah, it's
That makes sense.
Technically,
They're the
they
leader of their
are
own
That's kind of
army.
funny.
each a general.
Yeah.
But let's take this a little deeper level.
Deeper?
A
I
deeper.
was waiting for you
Let's
to
go
bring
into
that
the
out.
depths
Depth it.
of
Let's do
this
Deep.
Terrillian journey, shall we?
Why are you using your shoulders so much?
Because I'm deep, bro.
Oh, okay.
So these 4 generals, they've got their own individualistic characteristics.
Fun.
Where did they all come from? Are they all coming from Forboth?
I mean, would you say that like you're a genetic copy of your parents? They have some
Yes.
level of freedom.
Are we?
We have
No,
two
Are we
edits.
talking like
Quality-wise.
nature versus nurture type thing?
Yeah, we're going into it.
We're going- here we go.
They've
Here we
developed
go.
themselves. They come from Terrillian. She made them, yes, but they, just like you, have the freedom of doing totally differently than what your father did or what your mother did. They
But
have those
decisions,
freedoms.
yes, but their personality, do they not take part of that?
Each
from?
one has an element of her personality with them. Just like, so I have a lot of siblings. Every single one of us has a different personality. I'm a middle child, but when my siblings and I are all talking, I am the most similar to my eldest sister in personality. Whereas my eldest brother is more similar to my youngest brother in personality. But we're all, obviously related to the same parents, but we just, develop differently, develop different interests at different time frames. So
That makes
it's
sense.
it's in that kind of vein. Where it's like, yes, you can draw like my father's propensity to keep his own counsel. I'm very much that way. Whereas my brother right beneath me, he's very everything's on his sleeves.
Oh,
So-
okay. Were you thinking about any of these kind of relationships, characteristics when building out these generals, or any? I'm trying to tie it back
how
to like
they interact with each other. Like they're
interact with each other, and primarily with Forboth as well, right? I'm trying to build this relationship.
So it's hard to describe like how they would interact with each other because it is similar to a sibling like dynamic, but it's also held at arm's length. It's kind of like seeing someone and you're kind of weighing them out for the first time, but you know them or you know of them, but you're still weighing them out. Because think about it, they may have been made by the same person, but they did not necessarily live in the same area. Like
They have their own ship.
the only time that
The
they
ship
were
the size of a planet.
Yeah.
they've literally been on
Oh.
different worlds this whole time, so they know of each other.
Wait, I have a question.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
the
that's-
ship that's the logo,
That's all of them.
they're not all on.
They're not
No,
all on
they
that
each have
one
their
ship.
own. That's
There's
why.
four.
That's
So
why
whose
they
ship
have their
is
own
that?
name.
That's all of them.
It's a
They all
rep-
have
They
the
all
same-
look the same.
The ships.
Oh,
all
they
look
all look the same.
Yeah,
So
there's
same
four
ship.
ships.
Gotcha. Okay.
Same ship design for each
Same
of them.
ship genre.
Gotcha.
Sean
Okay,
Connery.
that makes sense.
If it ain't
Sean.
broke, don't fix it.
So
Sounds like it's
this
pretty
logo
hardcore.
then that we're looking at, there's
Four.
four of those.
There's four. Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh, I had no
Or
idea.
Maybe.
We should have our logo.
Wait, what?
The
What?
logo
I don't
should
know what
be
you're
Bury
talking
that.
about.
Bury that deep,
No,
deep
what?
down.
Wait.
logo should have like
No, we should probably
shadows,
actually bleep that
reflection.
Yeah, bleep
Wait,
that out.
hold on.
Yeah,
Please
no,
bleep
that
that
should
out.
With that, we will draw to a close. We do appreciate all of you who have listened to our comprehensive discussion of the planet known as Terrillian. We entice you to listen and learn, following along with each podcast so that you can visualize the vivid and vast world. A tragic tale set forth where the main protagonist, you as the gamer, play to conquer lands and legends, thus creating the lore of your own. In doing so, we hope to gain your favor and turn these stories into a video game. If you want to see more content, check out our website at terrilliangaming.com.